Discovering his lunch was stolen, a Cambodian farmer decided to investigate and was shocked to see a strange wild creature crawling on the ground, digging with its hands in search of food. After the entire village captured it, they found out it was a wild girl, completely naked, with disheveled hair, making growling sounds like a wild animal. However, a Western journalist claimed that this girl hadn't lived in the forest for 2 decades, but had been imprisoned by someone, sparking much controversy. A police officer admitted that this wild girl was his daughter, who had been missing for 19 years, without needing DNA testing. Shockingly, 9 years later, a Vietnamese man made a groundbreaking claim about the wild girl, leaving everyone stunned by the unexpected truth. Before starting the story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to receive notifications whenever a new video is released. This is a bizarre true story that happened in a remote village in Ratanakiri province, Cambodia. A villager went to work in the field and, as his house was far away, brought along a lunchbox to eat at noon. After a tiring morning of work, the man rested to prepare for lunch, only to discover that his lunchbox had disappeared. Suspecting a ghost, as the field was very close to the primeval forest, he panicked and ran home. The next day, when he returned to the field, the farmer found his crops broken by someone, and strange footprints on the ground that seemed to belong to a 4-legged creature. The forests in Ratanakiri province, located in the northeast of Phnom Penh, are all ancient, untouched forests. Many villagers never dare to venture into the forest, as they've heard rumors of primitive tribes living deep within the jungle. Believing that some wild human had stolen his food, the farmer decided to set up an ambush to investigate. One day, he heard a noise and secretly followed it. From a distance, he spotted a creature crawling on the ground, seemingly searching for something. Determined to uncover the truth, the farmer decided to get closer. Before he could comprehend what was happening, the man suddenly panicked when he discovered the wild human growling and crawling toward him. Being alone and frightened, he quickly ran back to the village to report the incident. Convinced there was a half-human, half-beast wild creature living in the forest stealing food, several villagers decided to gather and capture it. They prepared ropes and sticks, then headed to the field, waiting for the chance to capture this strange wild human. On January 13, 2007, the group of men began to act cautiously. When they noticed movement, they all advanced simultaneously, but were stunned when confronted by the wild human. The wild human appeared before them naked, with disheveled hair, crawling on the ground, hands digging for food. When one man got closer, he discovered that the wild human was actually a girl, but she could not speak. Her mouth only emitted growling sounds, as if trying to drive the villagers away. Seeing that the group carried sticks and ropes, the wild girl curled up in fear. As the villagers prepared to capture the wild girl, a strange naked man suddenly appeared. Seeing the girl surrounded by the villagers, he swung an object resembling a sickle through the air repeatedly, seemingly attempting to rescue his companion. Realizing he could not save the girl, the man retreated into the forest. Fearing there might be more wild humans, the villagers decided to use every method to bring the girl back to the village. It took some time for the villagers to finally bring the half-human, half-beast girl to the village health station. As they moved, the wild girl screamed out loud, sending chills down anyone who heard her. News of the villagers in Ratanakiri province capturing a wild human quickly spread across the country. Even international media rushed to the area to investigate the mysterious wild girl. What puzzled many people was that the wild human was found in Cambodia's largest primeval forest, where there is a significant temperature difference. How could a girl, wearing nothing, survive for decades in such a cold environment, and what did she eat to sustain herself? To uncover the truth about the mysterious wild girl, villagers continuously flocked to see her in person. Some speculated that the wild human exhibited behaviors similar to monkeys and suspected that she might have lived among a troop of monkeys deep in the forest. Since the wild girl could not speak, villagers could only refer to her as the wild girl or wild human. Sao Lu, a local police officer, had been particularly interested in the wild girl from the beginning. The couple once had a daughter who went missing in the late 1980s. When he saw the wild girl, he suspected that she was his daughter who had been missing for decades. After conducting some investigation, the police officer immediately declared that the wild girl was his missing daughter, named Rosham Pianjeng. The reason he identified her as his daughter was because of a scar on the wild girl's arm. His daughter had also had a scar from a knife injury she sustained while playing before she went missing. Moreover, the wild girl had many facial features resembling his wife. However, Sao Lu's claim was doubted by many villagers, as there was no evidence proving the wild girl was his long-lost daughter. The middle-aged man stated that his daughter went missing when she was 8 years old. The last time he saw his daughter was in 1988, when she was herding buffalo near the forest close to the Vietnamese border. Although he and the villagers searched everywhere, they couldn't find his daughter. At the edge of the forest, they only found the buffalo still grazing, but there was no trace of his daughter. At that time, the villagers believed there were only two possibilities: either the girl had gotten lost in the forest, or she had been kidnapped. However, the scene where Sao Lu's daughter disappeared showed no suspicious signs. As a result, everyone agreed that the girl had wandered deep into the forest. But misfortune continued to strike the family when Sao Lu's second daughter, who was 6 years old, also went missing a few days later. The younger girl was never found, and the police officer and his wife lived in grief over the loss of their children for nearly 2 decades. If the wild girl had been missing since that time, it would mean she had lived in the forest for 19 years without ever coming into contact with humans. Amid everyone's skepticism, the couple planned to conduct DNA testing to prove that the wild girl was their daughter, Rosham. However, for unknown reasons, Sao Lu's family withdrew their plans for DNA testing. Nonetheless, the couple was still officially recognized by local authorities as the biological parents of the wild girl. While the true identity of the wild girl remained unclear, a journalist from The Guardian made some surprising conclusions after meeting her. The journalist observed that the deep forest wild girl had deep scars on her wrists and left ankle. When asked, Sao Lu said that when his daughter went missing, she only had a knife scar on her arm and none on her legs. He believed these injuries were caused during her time living in the jungle. However, the Western journalist did not believe this explanation and suggested that the deep scars might have been caused by someone imprisoning her. Furthermore, Rosham's feet did not resemble those of someone who had lived in the forest for 19 years. When observing the wild girl eating rice, the journalist also noticed that Rosham could use a spoon without needing instruction. This indicated that the claim she had lived in the jungle for 19 years was unreasonable. Moreover, if she had truly been lost in the forest since the age of 8, she would certainly not know how to use a spoon to eat rice after nearly 2 decades in the wild. The journalist speculated that the girl might have mental health issues and had been imprisoned by someone in the deep forest. Since it was a wild jungle, very few villagers ventured into it, believing it would disturb the forest spirits. Additionally, many villagers claimed to have seen a naked man trying to rescue the girl when she was caught stealing food. This further supported the theory that the wild girl had been held captive by someone. Up until the time the girl was found, the villagers never saw the mysterious man wielding a sickle again. Out of fear of the mysterious jungle and potential wild animals, no one dared to go deep into the forest to search further. The foreign journalist believed that the girl had escaped from captivity due to hunger, which led her to search for food. The journalist suggested conducting a thorough investigation to clarify the issue, but Cambodia did not proceed due to a lack of manpower and resources. They also did not conduct a psychological evaluation of the woman, and instead allowed Sao Lu's family to take her in. The Western journalist's perspective was supported by Likado, a Cambodian human rights NGO. The organization believed that the girl, recognized by Sao Lu's family as Rosham, was a victim of kidnapping, imprisonment, and abuse. The marks on her arms were evidence that the wild girl had been tied up with ropes by someone. Due to her unclear mental state, or possibly because she suffered from a mental illness, she was easily exploited and imprisoned to satisfy someone's physical desires. Despite lingering questions about the wild girl's identity or the mysterious man who appeared at the same time as Rosham, these issues were ignored. Even tests to determine whether the girl had been sexually assaulted were not conducted. Skipping these necessary examinations left the question of whether she lived in the forest for 19 years or had been imprisoned for that time a perpetual mystery. After Sao Lu claimed the wild girl as his daughter, the authorities handed her over to him and his wife to care for. However, teaching someone who had been isolated from the civilized world for nearly 2 decades was no easy task. The people in Ratanakiri province are mostly of the Nong ethnic group and do not follow any religion. Nevertheless, the police officer's family decided to take Rosham to a Buddhist temple, hoping the monks could help her find peace. However, this seemed impractical, as the girl constantly tried to return to the forest to live. A week after her discovery, a Spanish psychologist visited the wild girl. After observing her, he found that she could say a few basic words and smile in response to games involving animals or a mirror. When thirsty or hungry, instead of speaking, she would point to her mouth to indicate she wanted food. Furthermore, Rosham preferred crawling on the ground, rather than walking upright like a normal human. The psychologist suspected that she had been imprisoned in a cage, forcing her to crouch or crawl on the ground. Notably, Rosham disliked wearing clothes and would repeatedly remove them, despite her mother's efforts to dress her. Occasionally, she would appear naked in front of family members, making some feel uncomfortable. Although she lived with the family, Rosham often tried to sneak out of the house. To prevent this, her mother constantly tried to keep a close watch on her. Foreign journalists confirmed that Sao Lu and his wife genuinely loved Rosham and cared deeply for her. However, perhaps due to her unfamiliarity with human environments, the wild girl often displayed a weary, sad, and despondent expression. Not only did she struggle to adapt to modern life, but the constant visits and filming by numerous people caused the wild girl significant stress. Human rights organizations in Cambodia suspected that Rosham might have experienced traumatic events in the deep forest. This trauma affected her ability to speak and made her fearful of people. On September 25, 2007, Rosham disappeared into the forest without leaving a trace, leaving everyone bewildered. Numerous search efforts were organized by villagers, but no trace of the wild girl was found. Sao Lu believed that his daughter had returned to the deep forest, as she had previously escaped several times but was always found and brought back. During the months she lived with her family, she was unable to integrate into human life. She did not learn to speak, nor did she like wearing clothes. Everyone thought it was unlikely they would find her again this time, but they were all surprised when Rosham returned home after a few days of being missing. However, upon her return, she still refused to eat or speak, and her eyes wandered aimlessly around. Despite his old age, Sao Lu worked hard to earn money to take his daughter to a village shaman, hoping to expel the forest spirits from her. The family believed that with the right ritual, their daughter could return to normal. The village police officer himself did not believe that his daughter had a mental illness, as claimed by the Western journalists and human rights organizations. By July 2008, news that Rosham could feed herself, bathe, and dress brought joy to many people. However, there was concern as she still could not speak, only smiling while playing with the children in the household. Rosham's unstable mental state worried everyone, as by October 2009, she went an entire month without eating, forcing the family to admit her to the hospital. At this point, Sao Lu came to believe that his daughter had mental health issues and requested to conduct tests. After 3 years of being found and living with the family, he realized his daughter still could not adapt to human life. Roshom could not speak, continued to remove her clothes, and occasionally ran away, but always returned on her own. Feeling exhausted from caring for his mentally ill daughter, Sao Lu asked charitable organizations to take over her care, but his request was denied. By December 2009, Roshom began eating again and had started to understand and say a few words. However, not long after, on May 25, 2010, the family had to struggle again to search for her as she fled back into the forest. By early June, they found Roshom in a toilet about 100 meters from Sao Lu's house after neighbors heard strange crying sounds. Having stayed in the toilet for 11 days, Roshom's entire body was covered in filth. Following this incident, the wild girl was taken back to the hospital. By September that year, a Spanish mental health organization began teaching Roshom social skills. When her condition improved, Sao Lu's family took her back. However, she refused to sleep in the house and instead moved into a small chicken coop near the house. The wild girl ate rice with the family, but only ate once every 3 to 4 days. Although she could not speak, Roshom began communicating with others through eye contact. However, tragedy struck the family in 2013 when Sao Lu passed away. The responsibility of caring for Roshom fell to her mother, but due to her old age and poor health, Roshom was occasionally cared for by a human rights center. Life seemed to continue as it was until 2016, when a shocking piece of news turned everything upside down. In July 2016, a man named Pel from Gia Lai province in Vietnam came to the village and claimed that the woman was his missing daughter, named Tak. Pel asserted that his daughter, who had a mental illness, went missing in 2006, just 1 year before the wild girl was discovered by the Cambodians. Since northern Ratanakiri province borders Vietnam's Gia Lai province, it was plausible that the mentally ill woman had wandered into Cambodia. Pel recognized his daughter as the Cambodian wild girl after seeing some photos posted on Facebook. Moreover, Roshom had several identifying features that Pel believed matched his daughter, such as a mark on her lip, a scar on her wrist, and a condition with her ear. In addition, he brought 9 relatives and documents detailing Tak's date of birth and her disappearance to support his claim. The Vietnamese man also stated that, due to her mental illness, the girl had been unable to speak since childhood. This confirmed the initial theories of the foreign journalists, who suggested that the wild girl was not what she seemed. Clearly, Roshom had not lived in the forest for 2 decades, and the scars on her wrist could have been caused by her family in Vietnam when they confined her due to her mental illness. Because of her illness, she could not speak and behaved awkwardly, leading many to mistakenly believe these traits were a result of living in the forest for a long time. The adoptive family agreed with the viewpoint and believed that Pel was truly the biological father of the girl. According to them, no one would claim and care for a mentally ill person unless they were the biological parents. After authorities spent 2 weeks investigating the case, they confirmed that Pel was indeed the biological father of the wild girl. Pel's family also agreed to pay the adoptive family $1,500 compensation for caring for the girl. In August of the same year, Roshom Ponjang was sent back to Vietnam. The adoptive family cried as they said goodbye to her. The story of the Cambodian wild girl ends here. Share your thoughts, feelings, and opinions about this story in the comments section below the video. This video ends here. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us continue bringing you meaningful content. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next videos.